It seems like Adele Fornarino cannot lose with a bunch of big wins under her belt lately. The question comes up, who is next for Adele Fornarino? Kinda. Guys, this is Sean with PDMA, and today we are talking about Adele Fornarino. Now, if you're not familiar with how these videos go, typically in these videos what we do is take somebody who's typically doing pretty well in the submission grappling scene, maybe somebody who's on like an upward trajectory, and take a look at 3 opponents that would make sense for them to go against next. Now, in this case, it's going to be a little different because, as you might know, at the time of recording this video, Adele actually has an opponent lined up. She's going against Alex to win at the next who's number 1. But for a couple reasons, I still wanted to make this video. One of which has nothing to do with the fact that I checked my analytics and a lot of people that watch this channel are Australian. Just a coincidence. No, all jokes aside, I do have a lot of Australian viewers, so thank you all for that. But if you're watching from anywhere around the world and you are a submission grappling fan, then Adele is on your radar. And yes, while she has a match lined up with Alex to win coming up, I think it's still a good idea to take a look at maybe what's in the little more distant future for Adele, see kind of what makes sense for her coming up and how she could possibly line up her 2025. So before we get into her first opponent, let's take a look at some of the successes that Adele's had that kind of set her on this trajectory. Now, I'm not going to go over Adele's whole career here, but we are going to look at some of her most recent accomplishments, and most notably, of course, that includes double gold at ADCC this year in 2024. Now, she won the women's minus 55 kilogram division, and she won the absolute division, which is just so impressive as one of the smaller people in that division. If you haven't watched Adele's ADCC run, go ahead and make sure you do that. Set some time aside because it was just beyond impressive. She's just such an accomplished athlete, and this ADCC run was just so fun to watch. And ADCC is not the only place Adele has been active lately. She's been competing in IBJJF tournaments. Very recently, she competed in the IBJJF Pan-Pacific Championship and double golded with all submissions. So Adele is on a trajectory right now that is just so fun to watch. She's really establishing herself as like a dominant name in the sport. So let's take a look at who would make sense for her to go against next. Okay, so this first opponent I think makes sense no matter how the match against Alex Nguyen goes. And I think all of these, just to note, do make sense regardless of how that match goes. She could win or lose, and I think, again, these all make sense. But the first person I would love to see Adele go against is somebody that she's gone against multiple times in the past already, and it's always just such a fun match, and that's Mayssa Bastos. So if you remember, Adele and Mayssa went against each other this year at ADCC in the first round of that minus 55 kilogram division. It was a fun match to watch. Adele did come out with the win, but I don't think a lot of people realize that these two actually have seen each other before in the past. So just in 2003, these two went against each other at the Brazil National Championships in the gi, and if you haven't seen that match, make sure you go watch that match. I actually just rewatched it before I made this video, and it is such a fun match to watch. Mayssa ended up winning in a very, very close match. It was just a match filled with just super technical, fun jiu-jitsu, and especially if you're a fan of the gi, make sure you watch that match. And to my knowledge, that is the only time these two have gone against each other. So I think with the record being 1-1, I would love to see these two go against each other again. Mayssa is a super active competitor. She's competing constantly as well. So is Adele, and I just think that would be such a fun matchup. I know super fights in gi are kind of like not really a thing anymore, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be opposed to it. Realistically, to sell it, I'm sure it would be in some sort of no-gi league, but I would love to see Adele Fornarino go against Mayssa Bastos and kind of see if we can give a winner to this 1-1 record. Okay, opponent number 2. Now, as you may have heard me say in previous videos, with high-level competitors like this, it would be really easy for me to make a video and just go rematch, 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 and I could easily justify the match by saying, oh, last time it was a fun match, let's just see this match again. And, well, that's exactly what I'm going to do here with opponent number 2, because I would love to see Adele and Brianna Saint-Marie go against each other once again. Now, if you watched the ADCC Absolute Division this year, you saw this match happen. I thought it was a very exciting match. It ended with Adele finishing an armbar on Brianna, but it was just such a fun match to watch. The reason I would really like to see this match too is because if you watch both of these women's matches in the past, they very, very rarely don't have exciting matches. I mean, these two are constantly chasing submissions. They both know their rule sets well. They can play to the rule set, but they're always chasing submissions no matter what the rule set is. And I just think these two are the types of competitors that I would just watch go against each other every single day. Now, Brianna does have the IBJJF Crown Championship coming up, so, I mean, that's a very, very tough division, and if she can get through that, I think she's going to be poised for a big match, and if Adele can get through Alex and win, I think they're going to be both coming off of huge wins, off of very, very public wins, especially for us that watch submission grappling. And again, both of these women can compete gi and no gi. A little fun fact here, in that match against Maisa that I mentioned, where Adele lost to Maisa in gi in Brazil, Brianna was actually coaching her. And I don't know if that was a situation where, okay, Brianna was just there and she was coaching her, because that happens all the time in the sport, or if they kind of, have a little more training history together. I'm actually not sure. But regardless, if they know each other's games at sort of more of an intimate level, that kind of usually makes for a more fun match. And again, I would watch this match gi or no gi, but again, if we're going to see it on any sort of big stage, it'll be no gi, which I'm not mad about it. Okay, and our third and final opponent that I would like to see Adele Fornarino go against is Danielle Kelly. Now, I told you I don't like to just do rematch, so I'm just pulling this one out of left field. And I think sometimes people forget about Danielle because she's just been over in one championship. She hasn't really been active in, in IBJJF and ADCC as of recent, but I still think this could be a fun match. Now, Adele is a super skilled competitor, and she can compete against the best at any weight class, right? She proved that this year in the absolute division at ADCC, taking down women that were much bigger than her. And I think kind of flipping that and giving her an opponent who's more her natural size, like Danielle Kelly, would not give her an advantage necessarily, but I think basically what I'm saying is she deserves that. She deserves to face people at her own weight. And it's not that anybody's forcing her to compete at some weight up or anything like that, but I always do like to see people go against people at their weight class. Now, it's always obviously fun to watch an absolute division where people go against people bigger than them, but Danielle Kelly and Adele, I think they're right around the same natural weight. I think another thing that would be interesting about this is if you look at both of their competition records, they actually haven't gone against the same people too much. Now, of course, the big exception here is somebody who we keep talking about in this video is Maisa Bastos. Maisa recently beat Danielle in a one championship match, but it was a very, very close decision. Some say it's controversial. I have another video all about that. If you want to watch that, I'll link that here. But Danielle lost to Maisa. Adele has beaten Maisa, and Adele has lost to Maisa. So I just think Adele Fornarino versus Danielle Kelly, for one, it's a match nobody's expecting. And two, as we move Adele into the public eye, as she continues to gain some momentum in the sport, putting her against a big name in our sport, like Danielle Kelly, would be a good way to kind of get her on the stage in front of maybe the people who don't quite know who she is yet. And lastly, because I'm sure people are already typing in the comments saying this moron didn't put Fionn Davies in here. Of course I want to see Adele go against Fionn. She fits pretty much every reason I have said that I want to see Adele go against somebody next. Like Danielle Kelly, she is a massive name in our sport. It could help catapult Adele's name to that next level where I believe she deserves to be. It would also be a very, very fun match to watch. Both of these women, again, if you look at their records, look at their history, watch some of their previous matches. These women are not known for having boring matches, and putting these two against each other, I think, would just be a ton of fun. I also think it would be really fun to watch how someone like Adele solves the Fionn Davies problem, because if you guys have seen some of my previous videos, I truly think Fionn is one of the best practitioners of our sport of all time. There are some things that people have not been able to figure out about her game yet, but I think Adele has a unique way of solving certain problems, and I don't want to go too into this. I would love to do a match breakdown of this match if it ever happens. But I would just like to see how Adele solves the Fionn problem and how she even approaches it. And a lot of us might remember, but after ADCC, Adele got on the mic and said,
Fionn, let's make it happen. You know, if you want to make 55, let's make 55 happen.
So those are my picks for who I want to see Adele Fornarino go against next. But as always now, it is time to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments who you want to see Adele go against next. Do you agree with the people I have suggested, or is there somebody else who you think would make a better match? Either way, let me know in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video and would like me to continue making more of this style of video, as well as match breakdowns, BJJ history, and more, please just go ahead and click that subscribe button. That is what lets me know that you are liking these videos and I should continue making more. With all that being said, I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.